financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is estate planning's role in managing debt issues. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Jeffrey Linden.
Happy to be here, Ken.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Go Greens.
Hey, what's new? Anything new in the disability world?
Well, things are starting to lighten up a little bit more. More hearings are
Happening?
getting processed now, so that's always a good thing right now for us.
So you're able to get your hearings done and then get your clients approved and your appeals won so that they can get their money?
Yeah, this process, this new normal of doing conference calls and everything else is actually smoothed out. They've been much more efficient doing hearings now, so they are doing a much better job of processing. Still difficult getting your money. They're still kind of funky at times, but that's the federal government, who's always kind of funky. But the process, at least for now, seems to be going well. Who knows when we're going to actually go in person? There hasn't been any scuttlebutt about actually physically being in person, which is what we'd all love. Those are the ideal hearings. But for a not ideal world, this is working out okay.
I understand. Wasn't there a point where there were a lot of vacancies? Have those vacancies for the judges been filled?
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job, and certainly what I'm more concerned about is obviously Michigan and the areas that I deal with, the entire state. And for the most part, the state is pretty good. The office in Mount Pleasant is always kind of changing. The office in Toledo is always changing. Those offices seem to be temporary offices where people kind of take jobs but then go elsewhere.
So you handle disability cases all throughout the state and even Ohio as well?
Throughout the state, even Ohio, because people who live
on the border.
Monroe, actually it's Monroe and south of Monroe, your cases actually are handled, right, because you're closer to the Toledo office than you are
Are we still
Detroit.
trying to say that Toledo is part of Michigan? I mean, didn't they have a war over that or something?
Well, and also Windsor's part of Michigan too, but that's a whole other topic.
They got Toledo, we got the UP.
I don't know if we won or lost on that one.
We'll worry about that war some a different time. All right, so let's talk about the areas that we're going to explore today. Basic reasons why you need an estate plan, basic elements of an estate plan, and how you coordinate estate planning with debt issues. Okay, let's start with number one. What's the basic reason why you need an estate plan?
Because none of us are getting out of this alive. Everybody dies. And if you have assets, you want them to go someplace.
Any other reasons?
Well, that's a pretty big one.
Ultimately we are all going to die. But is there any reason why we need an estate plan while we're living?
Well, sure. I mean, you've got a number of reasons why, but you want to make sure that your assets can be transferred and taken care of, that you're taken care of, that isn't improperly spent. You want people that you trust helping you out, and you can't necessarily just count on that happening without having that estate plan in place.
Think of it just like the same point that you were making at the beginning, or say, ultimately we all die. If we live long enough, ultimately we also reach some point of infirmity. We get to a point where either our memory's faded, right, Alzheimer's, nursing home care. If you live to 99, chances are you're not going to be quite as lucid and quick as you were at 68.
I read a statistic someplace, and I don't remember where I saw it, but
I like to think that we will.
So you don't remember already?
Between 60 and 80, you lose somewhere between 20 and 40% of your cognitive ability. But ask any 80-year-old that you're chatting with whether they're 100% there, and they'll tell you that.
Let me ask you a question. I'm 67.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I've lost 7/20ths of 60 to 80.
It's potentially
so
true.
are you suggesting that I've lost 33% of my cognitive skills as of this date?
Not
let me help you out here. You've lost it in the 90% of the brain that you don't use.
Let me just make a suggestion that you answer that question with good thought ahead. Now, what is your position on that?
Not Ken Gross.
You got to go back about 3 feet.
I can run. I'm still faster than he is.
You're
so
tied
it's
to
all
the
right.
chair.
We'll discuss it after without Ken.
You didn't know that I had the pad underneath the
I
desk.
did not know you had the bed underneath the desk.
I keep it there just in case.
Just in case.
I was just driving in this morning, and they're saying that the gun sales to women have now reached the same level as men. Like there's a 50-50 ratio, whereas historically it was 10 to 20% in any year, men's purchases of guns versus women's. And why are they buying them? They are concerned about being caught in a riot.
Okay.
Just a little commentary on current affairs.
No, but anyway,
So
back to
they have
your
their guns.
Right, but back to your point, there comes a time in
I
our
have my
lives
bat.
when you're going to need somebody with the authority to help you move assets around, make some decisions, manage your affairs,
It
and
might
that's
be
another
as-
factor that the
Right.
estate
It
plan
might be
becomes
as
very
simple as
important.
needing somebody to help you write a check because you can't see the checkbook anymore.
What about avoiding probate? I hear that all the time.
Oh,
Is that
absolutely.
a reason?
Absolutely.
Why is that a big deal?
You avoid probate with an estate plan if you get a trust, because the issue with probate is that it becomes a public venue. So if somebody wanted to see, your stuff and get involved in it, they could find out about it. The estate plan keeps it private. There are fees, court costs, and delays associated with probate that you can avoid by doing a proper estate plan with a trust, and keep the transfers private between you and your loved ones.
I mean, a simple dollar.
And-
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
But you want to have control over what happens to your estate. You don't want a court to decide what happens.
For
you
sure.
want
Right.
complete control over who gets what, not have anyone else
And you
to make that
accomplish
decision.
that with an estate plan.
I'll give you a simple example of where it becomes a real problem. You are 45 years old and you get hit by a bus and you die, and your 7-year-old child is now the beneficiary of your estate. That's fine. They'll get the money at age 18. You know how much money will be gone by 19? All of it. Every single penny will be gone. So if
Except, I want to go back to previous shows.
You'll have a Corvette.
As long as the
they will have a
18-year-old
nice Corvette.
becomes friends with Jerry the bartender on his 18th birthday, Jerry will give him good advice.
Exactly.
Okay.
Remember Jerry the bartender?
Yeah, and remember that I said this before, and I'll say it again.
No, don't
Jerry
say,
the
don't
bartender
insult poor Jerry.
is an idiot.
All right, take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about what the elements are of a estate plan and how to manage it with debt issues. We have a program. We've already developed it and put it in place, and we've been waiting for the rollout for the moratorium to go down. It's called the Eviction Defense Program, the EDP by THAV GROSS, and we've developed it and put it in play. But here's the big point, which you were making. You're going to get evicted if you're a tenant, and you need to get on top of this, and you need to defend it, and you need to do everything you can to protect your interests. And the last thing that you want to do is do nothing. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We were here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We'll create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients.
You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. All right, so let's talk about the basic elements of an estate plan. Brian, walk us through it.
Four major components. You've got your durable power of attorney, you've got your healthcare power of attorney, you've got your revocable living trust, and you have your pour-over will. So each one has a different...
So tell me about the durable power. What is that?
So this is the document that gets created that allows your agent, your attorney in fact, to act on your behalf in a financial capacity.
So let's say I had a durable power and I made Bonnie, my wife, my agent.
Fairly normal to do that. That's actually, most spouses, you're going to make your spouse your power of attorney, and then you're going to have an alternate when your spouse can't or won't.
Then I have my kids as alternates.
So what makes it durable? Is it like waterproof paper, or what's going on here?
Kind of, it is waterproof paper to the extent that it lasts beyond your lack of capacity. So up until the day you die, that power of attorney that you put in place.
So it's not durable beyond death, but it's durable beyond lack of capacity.
It's amazing how many people think that power of attorney, I have power of attorney over my mom. Well, how's your mom doing? Mom passed away.
Right.
Well, you don't have power of attorney over mom. It ends at death.
But it survives disability.
It does survive disability.
Once you're disabled, can you revoke your durable power of attorney?
So, no, you can't because you lack capacity.
Got it.
And disabled, wait, let's not use the word disabled. Let's use lack capacity because you can be disabled in that you're physically disabled.
What's the difference I hear springing versus immediate?
Okay.
Does a durable power that springs, is it like a jelly bean and it jumps?
So,
what kind of jelly beans do you have?
Yeah,
Mexican jumping.
Mexican jumping beans.
Nobody eats those.
No, but they're very good for visuals.
I can't wait to see this show and watch the visual on it.
We're gonna have some jumping beans, jumping jelly beans.
All right, so
jumping Jehoshaphat. All right, go ahead.
A springing power of attorney. Think about the fact that you are in complete control of your own financial destiny, period, right now, if you don't have a financial power of attorney. When you put one in place, a durable power of attorney in place, you can choose to make it immediate, granting someone the equal authority or the limited authority, whatever is in the document, to act on your behalf, or you can make it so that it only comes into play after an event. In this case, the normal way we do it is 2 doctors declare you incapable or lacking capacity to make a decision on your behalf. At that point, the power of attorney springs into existence.
So let me see if I got it right. So if I have a durable power that's immediate, I give it to Bonnie, she can do anything I can do, including she could come in and empty out the bank accounts and go run off with the tennis pro.
Right.
Okay, well, technically...
Fortunately, my wife doesn't play tennis and takes no tennis lessons and doesn't know any tennis pros.
Well, she knows you.
At least to my
The
knowledge.
difference between you and the person who's your power of attorney is that you have no requirement to have any financial responsibility with your assets. That durable power of attorney is supposed to have a fiduciary duty to the
All
estate.
right, but you could still physically go and empty out the
Yes, you
accounts.
could.
Whereas if it's springing, she can't do anything unless I'm adjudicated, or not adjudicated, unless
Two-
I'm
two doctors.
I'm
Two
in
doctors
lacking
declare you
capacity.
lacking capacity.
Right.
That's
But-
kind of like that case with the owner of the LA Clippers.
Right.
Right.
Donald Sterling.
Donald Sterling.
The former owner of the LA Clippers.
Correct.
She sold it based upon him being,
She
he
had
was
him
deemed
declared incapacitated.
by two doctors. She sold the Clippers. He challenged it. He lost.
He lost.
And I still insist to this day that Steve Ballmer overpaid for the Clippers. Now they're probably worth $2 billion, but back then,
He paid an
He
awful
had the,
lot for
he had the
that, too.
hindsight to do it,
Right.
and
the
But-
money to do it.
For some estate planning
You know-
purposes, though,
It's like to Steve Ballmer. It's like this: if you've got $100 in the bank, and the most amount of money that you're going to spend on a candy bar is 50 cents, but you really want the candy bar and you're going to spend $1 on it. What difference does it make? So you have $99 left rather than $99.50. That's what it was to Steve Ballmer. It's
I just
50
would like to
cents.
point out, remember that 60 to 80 loss of capacity concept? Somebody doesn't know how much a candy bar costs right now.
Oh, I'm thinking back to the good old days. What about the healthcare power? You talked about the durable.
So
what-
healthcare power is actually, it is a springing power of attorney by its
By
own
law.
nature.
Right.
What it does is says, so if you go into the hospital right now for a procedure, the doctor is going to ask you what you want. And they're going to talk to you as the patient.
I
As long
probably
as-
want some jumping jelly beans.
Yeah,
It'd
but
be-
as
it'd be
long
great.
as you have capacity. If you don't have capacity, the healthcare power of attorney that you've granted to someone else kicks in and allows them to make medical decisions for you.
So if I want to be no coded, that would be where it goes.
yes,
Yeah.
they would ask the
A
agent of
DNR,
that power. Yeah.
if you want, you limit the care you want. If you
Right.
don't want to be put on bells and whistles and tubes, but you just want to die
Right.
with
but
dignity.
you're always the first decision maker so long as you have the ability
Capacity.
to do so.
All right, next question.
And the healthcare power of attorney
Living trust-
doesn't have any capacity to make that decision on your behalf unless you lack capacity.
Got it. Living trust, pour over will. In 1 minute or left. What's that for?
Well, a living trust, pour over will says, hi, I own assets and put it in my trust. Everything I own goes in my trust. It's a simple way, even if your estate had to be probated, which we're trying to avoid, because if you didn't properly fund your trust, it makes it simple for the judge. Yep, everything goes in the trust.
And then the trust does what?
The trust distributes your assets according to the way you want them distributed in a private nature. It's a contractual agreement rather than a judicially monitored agreement.
Which is what a will would be.
Right.
Right.
'Cause a will has to go through probate.
All wills have to go to probate, same as if you don't have a will.
All right, so those are the key documents. The next segment I want to talk about is how do we interplay this with debt issues. We'll be back after the break.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. will safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. So I remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, 7 o'clock Sundays every morning. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. We do them via Zoom conferences, teleconference, or in office with proper social distancing in place during COVID. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff and Brian, estate planning issues with Brian, business issues with myself, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Just come in, request a free consult. We're happy to help you out. Our free consults are not meet and greets. We analyze your problem, we look at it, we come up with the solution that you need to do so you know what the method and process is to solve the problem, what it costs, and what the time frame is. Easiest way is just call us, 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. We'll get you in and go over it. We have free reports on the websites. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formation, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And also The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We have a program. We've already developed it and put it in place, and we've been waiting for the rollout for the moratorium to go down. It's called the Eviction Defense Program, the EDP by THAV GROSS, and we've developed it and put it in play. But here's the big point, which you were making. You're going to get evicted if you're a tenant, and you need to get on top of this, and you need to defend it, and you need to do everything you can to protect your interests. And the last thing that you want to do is do nothing. All right, so we're back. Now we've talked about estate planning. Now let's interplay it with debt issues. So let me give you a scenario, Brian, Jeff. One spouse has financial issues, but the other spouse does not. Say husband has a tremendous amount of credit card debt. Mm-hmm. How does estate planning come into play in that scenario?
So husband has the credit card debt. We don't want the husband to inherit outright the assets of his wife, because then his creditors can come in and reach in and try and get to those assets. And they will be successful for the most part, unless they're IRAs or 401ks, which can't be attached by the spouse, the husband's creditors.
Now, let's say the wife has $500,000 and she wants to leave everything to her husband when she dies.
So what we would do in this situation, as long as the debts of the husband exist like that, we would leave them in trust, in the wife's trust, for the use of the husband, and we would probably have someone else be the trustee. So we would create a discretionary trust for the husband's use. The husband would then be the recipient of the use of the money.
So the husband would have the right to use that money for his support and maintenance.
Right.
The trustee would dole it out, but there'd be a spendthrift provision.
Absolutely.
And that way the creditor can't get to it. And it's not just credit card debt. The other one I should have said is tax debt is more common to be that problem that is that we're trying to protect for. And that would work. What about, let's say, husband and wife are fine, but they're worried about the financial stability of their children?
So again, in that case, you create the trust, maintains the ownership. We have a spendthrift provision with discretionary powers to the trustee. And that means, again, that the trustee does not have to distribute the asset to the child, meaning that the child can't get to it unless the trustee gives it to them, meaning that Visa and MasterCard that are owed money by the child can never get to it. And in fact, a bankruptcy trustee can never get to a spendthrift trust.
Important there where the kids either have financial problems or you have to worry about, let's suppose the kids are married, but you question whether the marriage is solid and you don't want your assets going to your child's ex-spouse down the road. The way to protect them is you leave those assets for your children, but you leave them in a discretionary trust.
Yeah.
All right, what about business issues? Sometimes we have a situation where husband and wife want to engage and own a business, but one is financially solvent and the other one has lingering tax debt. What do you sometimes do there,
Well, we have creative ways to do that. We may create an LLC and put money into that LLC, and that's where...
And have the solvent wife own the LLC.
Yes. The problem with that is that it depends on the state that you create the LLC in, whether or not it has a transfer on death provision that is valid in that state. So assets that go through the trust or through the will have to be used to pay the debts of the decedent. Assets
that transfer outside.
Yeah, that transfer outside don't.
So the whole point is there are a lot of, I don't want to say tricky, I would rather say clever methods that we employ,
legally clever,
to accomplish the objective of what we call asset protection, which is asset protection stated in a positive way is protecting the assets you have so that you keep them. The creditor would view them as being strategies that you are employing to prevent the creditor from getting paid.
There's a lot of other things we can do. We can
that'd be a
create
fair assessment.
A family limited liability company. There are other opportunities through various and sundry estate planning methods that will allow you to keep the money away from the creditors, and that's the key.
The point is, it's a question of survival. You have to do what is necessary to provide for yourself and your family, and sometimes that process, if you have debt issues, means you have to take action to protect yourself. Also, you need to protect your kids and your family and your spouses from themselves at times. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality. Thanks for tuning in.